Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Diane Disney Miller Exhibition Hall. I can't thank you enough for showing up today for the dedication. You don't all have to listen to my voice right now. Keep eating and whatnot, but we want to get going. This is a working buffet lunch, and we must keep the show on the road. That being said, the incredible morning and the homage we paid to our fallen mariners was just an incredible endeavor, and I can't thank you all for being here. Yesterday, I got invited to come into the mayor's office. Your new mayor, Don Laurie, and what an incredible individual he is. He didn't have the time to make it today, neither did Congresswoman Pelosi or Congressman Garamendi, but every one of them gave positive feedback to what this meant to the United States Merchant Marine Service. And if I may, the mayor of San Francisco rendered a proclamation for National Maritime Day. Whereas the United States Merchant Marine, founded in June 12, 1775, marks its 250th anniversary for its wartime service, celebrating a proud tradition of service in both peace and war, and remaining a cornerstone of the nation's maritime strength, security. And whereas the U.S. Merchant Marine has played a vital role in sustaining America's economy, safeguarding our liberty, and supporting our military. And whereas San Francisco is an historic maritime city and has long stood as a beacon of shipbuilding, trade, and waterfront culture, proudly supporting generations of shipbuilders, mariners, dock workers, and their families, and have kept the Pacific Gateway strong and secure. And whereas the Port of San Francisco and its maritime community have continually contributed to the nation's economic vitality, defense readiness, affirming the city's essential role in America's maritime legacy. And whereas the Merchant Marine continues to serve as a vital link in our national supply chain, national defense strategy, ensuring that our country remains connected, resilient, and prepared. And therefore, be it resolved that the city and county of San Francisco recognizes and honors our Merchant Marine community through their extraordinary contributions to San Francisco, and be further resolved that May 22nd, 2025 is hereby declared Maritime Day in San Francisco. I think it speaks very highly that you got an awesome mayor, and let alone he knows his constituents in regards to all of you, especially the ones that are local right here in this community, wherever you're at, further down the coast, further up the coast, wherever you are. The bottom line is, when you look at the mayor's bio and the background that he brings to the table, it comes down to basically things that we can even correlate to the vessel on the ship, standing a watch. And it's leadership, and then bringing together your crew, bringing together those that can make a difference. And again, the politics, who cares? I really have no space and time to waste on politics. It comes down to leadership. And in the world of the Merchant Marine, and all of those that we know, when there was a bad egg, come down to good ship or bad ship, it's as simple as that. But leadership, you have younger crew understand the direction you're going, and you bring it in, and the cohesiveness that you bring as a leader makes a difference. And I believe your San Francisco new mayor is going to make some great things happen. This is a beautiful port. I called in here in 1989, and I do miss being around San Francisco. So here to San Francisco, please carry on. Go on what you're doing. One of the reasons that the American Merchant Marine Veterans is able to do some of our functions, and now it's been global, because last year we were over in Utah Beach, Normandy, France. You can see some of our sponsors. Some of the sponsors who allow us to continue on, and the great support is the reason why AMMV is carrying on the legacy of the World War II. And some of you might know that the American Merchant Marine Veterans, founded in 1984, now in its 41st year, was founded by the World War II Mariners. The younger generations coming in, which include the Korean War, the Vietnam War, Iraqi freedom, Desert Storm, enduring freedom, and now what do we have now? The vital supply chain continues through areas of hostilities where we know in the current events the Houthis, right? We have U.S. flagships getting fired upon, and we continue to render the vital supplies anywhere in the world. So take a look at this, and it's very significant in regards to what it took to come together and be as a unit to come to San Francisco. So that's one of the reasons we keep going. One of the largest supporters we have that enables us to have Guardian and World War II mobile enough to travel. You might know some of the stories if you have our magazine. We had 7 World War II mariners on an American airline flight chartered with the Gary Sinise Foundation going into Utah Beach. So this Gary Sinise Foundation is one of our strongest supporters, and it's incredible the collaboration and relationship we've made with them. And I have to pardon the next episode here. What we're going to do is, how is it we came about to be at the West Coast Memorial with the great lead-in that the American Battle Monuments Commission spoke of and highlighted at the dedication in regards, when did this mission start? What started back in the 90s, to tell you the truth, and we're finding ways to maintain this relationship. And of course, you can see what they bring to the table. They've been doing it over 100 years. And know that we have to bring up the fact that over 100 years we've been in battles around the world. And hopefully the leadership can figure out that we don't need to kill each other. We need to work together. You keep your friends close and your enemies closer, whatever it takes. So in leading into this event, and as I'm trying to wait through it to chime in, here we go. This is a story, a backdrop story of what occurred.
Mike Conley, Executive Director for Management of the American Battle Monuments Commission. Our promise to the American people is that time will not dim the glory of their deeds. That remains our vision statement in our strategic plan. That will always be our vision statement. Time will not dim the glory of their deeds.
The World War II East Coast Memorial stands at the southern tip of Manhattan, in New York City's vibrant Battery Park. An 18-foot-high bronze eagle stands guard. 8 gray granite pylons bear the names of over 4,600 U.S. servicemen and women who were lost in the western waters of the Atlantic during World War II. Many died in the epic Battle of the Atlantic, the gigantic struggle between the Allies and the Germans to control that ocean. Over 2,500 miles away, the World War II West Coast Memorial stands on high ground in the Presidio of San Francisco, overlooking the Golden Gate Bridge and the Pacific Ocean. The center of the memorial is a sweeping gray granite wall. On the wall are the names of over 400 American servicemen and women missing in action or lost at sea in the American coastal waters off the Pacific during World War II. Beside it, a statue represents liberty. Both the East Coast and West Coast memorials look out over the edge of vast oceans, where so many Americans gave their last full measure of devotion to the nation.
Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. It's a long, long way It's a long, long pull with our hatches full, braving the wind, braving the sea, fighting the treacherous foe. Heave ho, my lads, heave ho. Let the sea roll high or low. We can cross any ocean, sail any river. Give us the goods and we'll deliver. Damn the submarine. We're the men of the merchant marine.
Well, the Merchant Marine sacrifice in World War II per capita was incredible. Close to 7,000, I think, is the number that they lost. And our agency has been tied to the Merchant Marine for a long time. You mentioned the East Coast Memorial. That was dedicated by President Kennedy in 1963, and it honors the Americans who died in the coastal waters of the Atlantic in World War II. The Merchant Marine weren't included in that original memorial, but we recognized that that was a mistake. And so in 1991, on Veterans Day, there was an inscription added to the base of the eagle sculpture that is the centerpiece of that memorial, specifically honoring the Merchant Marine. Based on that experience, when we did the World War II memorial on the National Mall, I was involved in that project. I wasn't with the agency when the inscription was added to the East Coast Memorial, but I was involved in the World War II memorial. And you know, I had the opportunity to go out and speak to the American Merchant Marine veterans in Las Vegas at their last convention. And I jokingly told them, "You guys hammered us." I mean, I can't tell you how many letters, phone calls we received from the merchant mariners saying, "Don't forget us in the World War II memorial." And I can't tell you how many times I said, "Look, we got you covered. You're going to be there. Don't worry about it." And the end result of that is on the flagpole bases, we have what we consider the 6 service seals, not the 5. And one of those seals is the Merchant Marine. And so it's right there with the other services in a significant commemoration of the World War II memorial. When I was invited to speak in Las Vegas, I was asked to talk about the possibility of adding a commemorative element to the West Coast Memorial, which is in the Presidio in San Francisco. And I started doing some research, and I realized that in 1992, our Board of Commissioners actually voted to replicate what they did at the East Coast on the West Coast. And that was in January 92. In December of 1992, the Commission approved a design and a location for that commemorative element to be added. I can't find anything as to why it was never accomplished. But now, recognizing that it wasn't, and recognizing that the East Coast and West Coast are like mirrored memorials, the West Coast honoring the loss of Americans in World War II in the coastal waters of the Pacific, I took it to the Commission and said, we've got to do this. It's the right thing to do, and our Board of Commissioners unanimously said, yes, let's get it done. And so our executive architect went out, looked at various locations, decided on where it would be best placed, and we've got the Commission of Fine Arts approval just last month on the design and the inscription. And right now the West Coast Memorial is undergoing a lot of renovations and some restoration work that we need to do. I mentioned that one of our priorities is bringing all of our monuments up to standard. So that's going on, and when that's done, then we'll contract out for the additional granite element, and then we're looking at April, May, we're going to dedicate that. And you know, I've talked about how our agency has been fulfilling a 100-year promise to the American people. Well, we made a promise in 1992 to the Merchant Marine, and now we're going to be fulfilling that promise. And so I'm looking forward to that, because I've become close to the merchant mariners through this process and through my interactions with them. And so it's long overdue, and it's the right thing to do.
So, real quick, we saw some folks present at the dedication, and I believe AMMD is presented American Battle Monuments Commission with Mr. Ben Brands right there. He's sitting with us in the back right now. I want to thank you, Ben. Appreciate you being here. Nice job. His colleague sitting next to him, Jeremy Kern, was incredible for us. Back last year, we spent multiple hours on Zoom calls and just the dynamics of what comes together to bring us together. So, Jeremy, thank you. And of course, the grounds that we're traveling in and we're sitting in is just unbelievable. The city of trust, and you saw the incredible words of Mr. Rich Rusnak right there. He didn't have a chance to be with us this afternoon, but again, another round of applause from the city of trust. If I can, I'd like to represent some thoughts and honors to the ones that deservingly, the ones who sailed back in World War II, and that brings us to, look at this young man right here, Mr. Frank Mendez. Frank Mendez and his lovely daughter Carol right here today. Thank you so much for being here. Frank is a force to reckon with right here in San Francisco. At the age of 16, he quit school. Next thing you know, he's looking through his seaman's papers, and he's putting out to sea with the Mariners Firemen's Union Hall, and was dispatched right away as a wiper on a ship. Sailed on the SS Carnegie, Motor Vessel Terminal Knot, the SS Sea Serpent, all in the Pacific. So there you have it, the Pacific Theater. The medals he received, World War II, was a Pacific Theater Medal, the World War II Convoy Cup Medal, the World War II Merchant Marine Congressional Gold Medal, and after that period he received the Ambassador for Peace Medal from the work he did with the South Korean government, and then the Merchant Marine South Korean, I should say the South Korean War Memorial that we passed. When we went from here on down to the West Coast Memorial, you saw that, and Frank was instrumental in the fundraising and all the work it took to put that together, so nice work, Frank. I want to emulate what you do. Unbelievable, unbelievable. Frank has a huge network of being in the machinery business, again, from the fireman's water tender job he had on board, the Marine Firemen's Union Hall, and the work that you learn on board a ship is just unbelievable. So the trades that you learn, and then you come back to land and you figure out what you're doing is just phenomenal. Right after, again, he sailed into, last trip was October of 1952, Busan, Korea, July, August, backing up a little bit, 1950, and Incheon, Korea, September and October 1952 during the Korean War. He then met Lutfi Veronica Lanya. Is that your mother? Yes, yes. Unbelievable. In 1944, they dated off and on and then married. August 18th of 1951. They had 2 children, Frank Jr. and Carol Ann. You guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. In December of 1952, Frank went to work for the Frieden Calculating Company in San Leandro, California as a journeyman electroplater. In December 1959, he ran for and was elected the business manager of the Northern California Metal Polishers and Platers International Union Local 128. Re-elected in 1963. So, you know, just an incredible person, local here in his area, and what he's done locally to do and put us on the map, the Merchant Marine on the map. So, Frank, just an incredible life you've had. We love you for it. Thank you. This young man, at 104 years old, where's Mr. Charles? There he is. And quickly to the right, if you can see it, good vibes only. I love it. Good vibes only. Charles remains in AMMV our chairman for the Government Affairs Committee. The chairman of the Government Affairs Committee. And a huge asset to AMMV. His lovely family. Of course, we have Vita with us today. Vita, can't thank you enough for being here. Doing all you do. Supporting the mission. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Again, 104 years old, Charlie Mills began his maritime career in 1937 when he climbed up the gangway of the SS Carlton, a ship that would later be lost, and you heard it, later be lost in PQ-17. Mills sailed throughout World War II, was a charter member of the National Maritime Union. Mills would come ashore and serve as the NMU official for 4 decades. He has participated in all of the AMMV Storm the Hill. Anybody remember that, Storm the Hill? That's when we have teams going into Washington to educate the representatives on various measures that recognize the World War II and the Merchant Marine Service as a whole. So Charles was at every one of them. He remains active in the organizational activities. He is Washington for official awarding of the Congressional Gold Medal. Charles was there in the Statuary Hall, along with another team of World War II. Speaker Pelosi is the one that gave that Congressional Gold Medal. And that same week, if I recall, in the hotel that various of us stayed last night, that's when Captain Greg Tulowski and Congressman Garamendi visited with 9 gold medals for the World War II. So that was an incredible week back in May of 2022. Charles continues to chair our AMMV Government Affairs Committee, lives in Pearland, Texas, surrounded by his beautiful family. He turns 105 June 18th, 2025. Glad to have you, Charles. Look at this young man. Where's Mr. Parasso? Honorable Judge Parasso. There he is in the back. I guess these days you can see the Honorable Judge getting picked up by his neighbor on a 45 Willie, probably tailgating all over the neighborhood. That's a hell of a shot. Thanks for sending that in, Claude Jr. And of course we got George the Fourth. Where's George the Fourth? Thank you for being here, sir. That is George Pasha, ladies and gentlemen. George Pasha the Fourth. Incredible history of Pasha Navigation, Pasha Group, 75 years in the making. Getting back to the judge, born May 31st, 1926, obtained his U.S. Coast Guard seaman's papers at the age of 18. He was advised in April of 44 that he would not be graduating. He couldn't get through a couple of classes in high school, chemistry, physics, whatever it was required for graduation. Therefore, he packed his bags and left school anyway. Since my home was walking distance to San Francisco port of embarkation at Fort Mason, he happened to know the port captain and was a customer to his father. He visited him and asked if I could sail on a troop ship, and there he goes. He starts his education in the maritime. He advised me where to apply for my seaman's papers, and he quickly obtained them, reported back to him. Next thing you know, he was assigned a ship. So, again, another individual, World War II, that was in the Pacific Theater. Southwest Pacific War Zone. Judge Claude Parasso was born in San Francisco, right? His father, San Francisco native, and his grandfather immigrated to San Francisco from a small town near Genoa. His mother was an Italian immigrant from the neighboring town, from his father's family. Claude was raised in the Marina District, where he met the girl around the corner. His bride-to-be, Donna Jean Pasha. His father worked late nights as a partner with the Cavello family in Monaco restaurant in Jackson Square. Claude attended the St. and Titus and left before graduation to serve in the Merchant Marine World War II in the South Pacific at the age of 17. His brother George served and gave his life in Europe at the age of 19. Thanking him for his service there, Judge. Claude returned to San Francisco, attended USF, both undergrad and law school. He and Donna were married. His last year in law school, Claude served in the San Francisco Public Defender's Office for 16 years, and in 1971, Governor Ronald Reagan appointed him to the municipal bench and elevated him to Superior Court in 1973. That is some awesome history right there. He retired from the bench in 1991 and served as a pro tem judge for 15 years. From the retirement, Claude and Donna have taken countless cruises around the world, and until recently, Claude and Donna spent 2 months each summer down in Levante, a beach near his family's home in Liguria. How do you say that? Okay. I can't wait to get over there myself. Their next adventure is later this year with a cruise to the Panama Canal, of which he's already done, right? He's already been through the Panama. Well, as you see up on the screen right here, 9 days away from his 99th birthday. So cheers to you, Judge. Thank you for being here. Next up, Mr. Dave Yoho. And I must say, American Merchant Marine Veterans has been honored that he remains our spokesperson. He does travel all over the world, and he's just an unbelievable amount of energy, as you can see, in doing what he's doing for us and continuing to come to our events. He flew up from John Wayne last night. It's just phenomenal. Dave, we thank you for being here. World-famous motivational speaker Dave Yoho served in the engine department of World War II, having trained at Sheepshead Bay. When the war ended VJ Day, he was just shy of his 17th birthday. Again, Dave is our spokesperson, and of course, we're honored that he is on our team. He's made over 5,000 speeches in every state, the U.S., and 22 foreign countries. Written numerous books, 2 have become bestsellers. First American to appear in the Sydney, Australia's famous opera house. Invited to White House 4 times. I believe we almost had a chance again this year, and there's a little bit of unintended consequences going on in Washington right now, so we didn't make the cut to get in the White House for this weekend's breakfast on Memorial Day. But that's okay. We're just down the street. On May 18th of 2022, at a special session of Congress, Dave Yoho received the Congressional Gold Medal along with many of his Mariner friends like Charlie Mills. And this year, Dave, for the 2025-2026, is the spokesperson for the American Veterans Center. That's a very predominant, non-for-profit veterans unit out of Arlington, Virginia, and this is where Dave is going to be the Grand Marshal in the parade that has about 300,000 strong on Memorial Day. Dave, thank you for being here. Ladies and gentlemen, on a very somber note, as you might have heard earlier, Big John crossed the final bar last night. And if we could just take a moment to digress on that a second, what a phenomenal family and extended family that they've been for him and what he's meant to them and meant to us being AMMV. So the fabric, as it was unfolding last night, we were getting messages from the granddaughter, Betsy Mount, and keeping us in tune with what was going on. And, you know, the expectation of our group was that he was going to be with us. So it's just awesome that we can at least come together and spend a chance to reflect on the ones that never made it home and reflect on the ones that still stand amongst us. And that's what AMMV does, legacy and education. So I want to thank you for just sharing a moment with us. And if I could bring Scarlett Rose up and Patrick Cotter. One of the things we did last night was that Scarlett Rose is our RVP here on the West Coast, and she works for a group, and again, a nonprofit, Quilts of Valor. Quilts of Valor. And Scarlett did the tenacious work of getting 4 of the World War II Mariners that were with us, and of course, John didn't make it, but in his memory and the fact that we still had the quilt, Scarlett had this quilt made, Scarlett wants to show it, present it to Patrick Cotter, who will deliver it to the family. Next up, another reason why we're in the facility we're in right now Why are we here on the West Coast, the dedication, and why are we here at the Walt Disney Family Museum, specifically the Diane Disney Miller Exhibition Hall, is incredible roots of not only San Francisco, the West Coast of California, but the days of when the Merchant Marine was in its heyday of sailing the vital supplies and what unfolded. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and introduce Mr. Patrick Cotter again. He is our co-chair under Charlie Mills at 104. So Charlie is unbelievable. I mean, he's a hard man to work for sometimes, but we get the job done, and I think we're doing okay. Huh, Charles? Are we doing all right? Patrick Cotter is the son of the U.S. Merchant Marine radio operator who served during World War II. The late Edward Patrick Cotter sailed aboard the SS Ocala Victory as an 18-year-old warrant officer. In 2014, Pat was watching the National Memorial Day concert and asked his father why the Merchant Marine were not shown as veterans on PBS program. Does anybody know what I'm talking about? The PBS program for Memorial Day? It's a big event. It's a big deal. Beginning in 2014, Pat tried to convince BPS Television producers and hosts Gary Sinise and Joe Montega to include the Merchant Marine in the show, but was turned down. In 2022, 7 years after his father passed, he joined the American Merchant Marine Veterans to help move the vision ahead for recognition of the Merchant Marine World War II veterans on the PBS show. He supports Charles Mills' leadership in AMMV's Government Affairs Standing Committee. In 2023, after Pat prepared many letters and briefing materials for AMMV leadership to support recognition of the Merchant Mariners on the show, PBS finally agreed that U.S. Merchant Marine World War II veterans would be honored during the 2023 National Memorial Day concert. It was a banner day for AMMV, honoring the U.S. Merchant Marine and World War II veterans, and is now an important component of the annual show. The tenacity that this guy showed, and next thing you know, he becomes a member, and next thing you know, we're getting communications with Secretary of Defense, Department of Defense, all these other agencies, but it's his knack. Pat has a background in the government affairs and doesn't take no for an answer. Pat has helped design the latest 3 challenge coins for AMMV, has become a contributing writer for AMMV's news magazine, including articles with just recognition. Pat wrote an historical article recently, in the current edition of our Battle of the Margaretta, and celebrates the 250th anniversary of the birth of the Merchant Marine on June 12, 1775. It is indicative, and if you notice our flag, right, there's no denying it. 1775. Jeremiah O'Brien, the history right here again in San Francisco, right? It was General Washington that told Jeremiah O'Brien, the captain of the Unity up in Machias, Maine, then the territory, right? Then it was a territory of Massachusetts, to do what the privateers did back then. The privateers were our merchant mariners. There's no denying it. There's no denying it. In serving peace and war. So it's the component of the war that Merchant Marine got on the map. And we're pushing it. And Pat's pushing it. He is also working with AMMV leadership to prepare the comments for the 2025 Ships for America Act. This is a big deal. You guys ever heard of that, the Ships for America Act? Say again?
Mark Kelly.
Mark Kelly, absolutely. Kings Point graduate. Went up to space a couple times, right? Yeah, Garamendi, another California representative, right? Huge passions for the Merchant Marine and what's understanding for the industrial complex. So Pat is behind this, where he's recommending a new section of the bill designate the merchant mariners who served in Korea, Vietnam, expeditionary operations in the Middle East, and fully recognized as veterans. Similar to the U.S. Merchant Marine of World War II, Pat's contributions to the goals of AMMV have been much appreciated by our leadership and our members. He will talk about the Battle and Peat Patch and the research into Walt Disney Studios, the creation of the unique World War II patch for the Merchant Marine in 1944. Please welcome Mr. Pat Cotter.
Thank you, Drew. I don't know how I can follow all those four guys up here, but I want to tell you a little bit about the work on this patch. Has been something that's been a passion for AMMV for many years, and wanted to try to help sort of clarify a few things. The patch, the Battle and Pete patch, was done by the Disney Studios in Burbank, California in 1944. And it was an amazing time in U.S. history. Everything was happening fast because the war was progressing very quickly. And the United Seamen's Service, this logo at the top, they're sort of like the USO for the Merchant Marine. They help families overseas. They advocate for merchant mariners. They help them get acclimatized to their new service stations and things. And the Disney Studios was preparing almost 1,200 different unit patches, not the official maritime, the official patches for the military, but they made them with their cartoon characters. Really a pretty interesting sort of way to keep the war going and have a little fun doing it. And with that in mind, the United Seamen's Service asked the Disney Studio actually in July 5th, to prepare a patch for an art show that was going to happen in Los Angeles, starting in the middle of July and ending up in August. So in 9 days, they prepared the patch, unbelievably quick. Now, if you think of what it took to get the Congressional Gold Medal for the Merchant Mariners, how long did it take, Drew?
Close to 7 years.
There we go. 7 years for the gold medal, 9 days for the patch. And the patch, I've seen a lot of patches on jackets. It's beautiful. It's one of the largest patches that Disney ever made. And I'm really glad to have met some of the folks in Disney and the Los Angeles Museum of History down in Los Angeles. I'd still like to work with our Disney folks sometime down the road and get some more information, more history about the patch and who drew the actual characters on the patch. It's not really well known who they are. The character that you'll see here on this side here, Pete, was actually debuted in Steamboat Willie when Mickey Mouse was actually first drawn by the Disney Studios in 1925. And Steamboat Willie was a little mouse about coming up to the kneecaps of Pete. Pete was one of these great big merchant mariner kind of guys. So it's a perfect synergy to have Pete up there beating up on a torpedo. And you can also tell the flags for the U.S. The United Seamen's Service are up actually on the patch itself as well. It debuted on July 23rd in Los Angeles, and it was well received by everybody, and it's been a patch that Drew has sent out to countless people, and presidents of AMMV before him have actually done that. It's been a really well received thing. I'm glad to see lots of jackets in the audience today with the patch on them. It's really cool. The most important thing, of course, is celebrating the accomplishments of 250,000 merchant mariners with this patch. And it's, there's nothing that says camaraderie like everybody wearing the same patch and identifying with each other. So I think it's something that AMMV is really proud to share with everybody that has been on the team, and it's great to be able to get some more history about it. I do want to take this opportunity to work with the folks here at Disney, and we only live in Pacific Grove down the road, so we can come up and have a session up here to try to find some more information on it. But thanks very much. It's been a real pleasure to work on the historical side of things for AMMV and work with Charles on all the government affairs stuff. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. So isn't it nice to... One last thing.
One last thing. I wanted to share that one of the treasures I have is the 1944 Officer's Handbook for the Merchant Marine, 80 years ago. And the patch is not in there. It's just because it wasn't part of the official uniform. So having the patch is another recognition sort of thing for the merchant mariners. And I used this actual book to convince the Coast Guard that my father was a warrant officer so that he could be buried with the WO on his headstone. So it's really a treasure for me to have this. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Really appreciate you, man. So isn't it nice to know that the Merchant Marine, in regards to really being, it is, outside of these circles, it remains an unknown force. And that's okay, because we have you to count on to get the flag up. At this time, may I call upon Mr. George Pasha IV to please step forward, and we'd like to give him a small token of appreciation. On behalf of AMNV, its network of sponsors, and incredible forces of the maritime industry, the Pasha Group has been a huge force here on the West Coast and around the world, and their vision in regards to what they've been able to achieve over the last 75 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. George Pasha IV emailed me as the plane was landing in San Francisco, and I just couldn't get over. I could hear the motivation through the email. You know, I'm like, wow, we got Mr. Pasha showing up. I'm sure Claude had something to do with it, but yeah, so that's okay. But sir, as a token of appreciation, please accept this Battle and Pete patch from us. Thank you very much. Thank you, George. At this time, another part of our network in regards to forces are folks that are educated around the area, right? And this speaks highly of Cal Maritime, one of the state maritime academies, right? They are due to get there. They're going through a lot of transition right now. It's responsible for certain individuals that spearhead and have the vision to see what lies ahead for the younger generations. What is needed in America or even around the world: innovation, engineering, sciences, right? But one thing about Cal Maritime that will remain is that they will have a marine engineering, and they will have a nautical science, and they will have a new training ship coming very soon. So at this time, I'd like to introduce to you another force to reckon with right here in the San Francisco area. What is it, Vallejo? And obviously up around the corner a little bit, the North Bay. And I've got to sail with many, many people from Cal Maritime, just a wonderful people and wonderful crew. So at this time, let's introduce Mr. Dumont, President of Cal Maritime. Retired U.S. Navy Vice Admiral Mike Dumont was appointed as the interim president of the Cal State University Maritime Academy in July 2023. He will be departing the role in a few weeks' time, and when the Maritime Academy becomes part of the California Polytech State University. I really appreciate you fitting in time to be with us. Before joining Cal Maritime, Admiral Dumont served in dual roles as the Deputy Commander of the United States Northern Command and as a Vice Commander in North America Aerospace Defense Command. Among 4 combat tours and his many assignments as military aviator, Admiral Dumont served as Chief of Staff, U.S. Naval Forces in Europe and Africa, Chief of Staff of U.S. Forces in Pakistan, Deputy Chief of Staff with NATO forces in Afghanistan, and as the Vice Director of the Joint Chiefs in the Pentagon. This guy's got around. When he was not serving in uniform, he held senior policy-making roles in the U.S. government, including as Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of the Defense and Special Operations. Please join me in welcoming Admiral Dumont. Thanks for being here.
Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the faculty, the staff, the cadets, and the alumni of Cal Maritime, thank you very much for inviting me. Speaking of our newest alumni, a round of applause for Connor, who just graduated. Connor, don't be shy. Don't pretend you don't. Stand up. Stand up. Connor's a typical cadet on our campus who pretends he doesn't recognize the president. Connor, thanks and good luck in your career, which I know you finally accepted a job today, so I'm thankful for that, and so is your dad. So it's an honor to join you today to mark this meaningful addition to the West Coast Memorial. Cal Maritime is one of only 7 degree-granting maritime academies in the nation and the only one on the West Coast. Our mission is clear: to educate and develop global maritime professionals prepared to lead in roles critical to national security, economic security, and supply chain resilience. Our cadets train in disciplines that span marine transportation, mechanical engineering, national security, maritime logistics, and international strategy, making them integral to the safe and strategic movement of goods, supplies, and defense assets across the world's oceans. Today's unveiling of the Merchant Marine inscription is not only a tribute to the past, it's a call to the future. The Merchant Marine has long been the unsung backbone of America's wartime and peacetime logistical efforts. Cadets enrolled in our maritime academies, many of whom will serve in the U.S. Merchant Marine or work closely alongside, inherit that same sense of responsibility to ensure global stability through maritime strategy and strength. They understand that sea power is not just military in nature. It is economic, it is diplomatic, it is strategic, it is essential to the nation. As we remember the merchant mariners who never came home, we also recommit to preparing the next generation to meet tomorrow's challenges on the water, in port, and in policy-making organizations around the world. And at Cal Maritime, their legacy lives on and will live on. We train cadets who carry forward the value of duty, resilience, and service that defined the Merchant Marine's role in every major conflict since its creation. Many of our alumni have served in both military and civilian capacities, bridging the gap between service and supply, between ocean and nation. So we are proud to honor that tradition with you here today. This memorial speaks not just to sacrifice, but to service, and that is exactly what our cadets are training to deliver. To the leadership and dedicated staff of the American Battle Monuments Commission, thank you for making this recognition possible. Not only to those who never made it back home, but also to those who continue to uphold the value of the nation's maritime service. The future of our nation's maritime strength begins with education, and that's a responsibility we're proud to carry at Cal Maritime. This new inscription we recognize this morning is more than words on a stone. It is a memorial made permanent. It affirms that the sea holds many heroes, but not of whom wore the same uniform, but all who served the cause of freedom in everything that they did and in the last full measure of devotion. Let us remember them not only today, but every day, that we benefit from the peace they helped to deliver. So on behalf of all of us at Cal Maritime, thank you for allowing us to join you today. Thank you.
Thank you, Admiral. Please stand by. Please stand by. On behalf of our appreciation to Cal Maritime and the rich history they have there in the maritime service, dates back long ago, World War II, we want to thank you for being here, and we'd like to present you with the Battle and Pete patch as well. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, at about 9 o'clock last night, Nancy Pelosi's staff emailed me, and we had a great relationship with that office. We still do, and what I wish to do now is show a short video of what her thoughts were in regards to this stone. This is her district, and we always honor and cherish, no matter what representative it is, in regards to how we maintain a decorum and etiquette with whoever it is. So just a little side note in regards to my family, in regards to Mr. Charles Mills, going back to Baltimore, Maryland. My father used to work for his father in an old farm chicken store in downtown Baltimore and deliver food to the D'Alessandros. Nancy's father was the mayor of Baltimore. Mr. Charlie Mills used to work for the mayor of Baltimore. You know, we're a lot connected than we are further apart, aren't we? So, without further ado, let me see if I could get this video tuned up, and right now it's not loading up. But it was interesting to receive this note from her staff and her to do a little.
As a proud representative of San Francisco, it is my honor to join you virtually for this solemn and deeply meaningful memorial dedication right here in the Presidio, a place steeped in history and sacrifice. Today, we remember the heroism of the merchant mariners of World War II, those who served with courage and those who never made it home. President Roosevelt once said their mission was the most difficult and dangerous transportation job ever undertaken. Indeed, these patriots faced aerial bombings, submarine attacks, and treacherous seas to deliver critical supplies and troops across every theater of war, from the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Pacific. Their sacrifice came at great cost. The merchant marines suffered the highest casualty rate of any service during World War II. Today, we honor that sacrifice and recommit ourselves to preserving the memory of their valor. In 2022, I had the privilege of presenting the Congressional Gold Medal to our World War II merchant mariners on behalf of a grateful nation. That moment and the memory shared by those in attendance will stay with me forever. To all who served and all who remember, thank you. May this memorial stand not just as a monument of stone, but as a testament to your legacy, a legacy of fortitude, patriotism, and quiet heroism that helped preserve liberty for generations to come. Events like this help ensure that time will not dim the glory of your deeds. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right. So where's this located? Yeah. Again, incredible history right here locally in the Bay Area, Richmond, Alameda, San Francisco. Who's behind, and I gotta say this to go back a little bit, when he spoke about the patch, Uniform Sierra Sierra, United Seaman Service, brought around for the need of the merchant marine around the world by the War Shipping Administrator. You remember the name back then, the War Shipping Administrator? Emory S. Land. Emory S. Land. FDR and Emory S. Land said, we need to do something. We need to have a service of the merchant marine like the USO. Who was the first president of the United Seaman Service? Who was the first president of the United Seaman Service? The one that gets the right answer gets our latest challenge coin. It's a test question. Who was it? Who said that? You said Kaiser? She gets a challenge coin, Pat. She's a All right. Well, just want to bring up a couple of little bits of information to your local area. Let's move on to this one. Who can identify the medal in the middle? The Mariners Medal. The Mariners Medal. What you're looking at is the obverse and the reverse sides of the Mariners Medal, which is indicative of what? The same meaning as the Purple Heart. So our mariners of World War II, killed in action, posthumously awarded, or died from their wounds, or even including the later terms of PTSD. That medal is indicative of what the mariners earned, equivalent to the Purple Heart. How many outside of this arena of our circle of the maritime industry know that? The Merchant Marine of World War II received an equivalent of the Purple Heart called the Mariners Medal. We got awesome history, folks, and we got to keep educating the younger generations. And young man over here from Cal Maritime, I hope you sign on. All right, let's keep her rolling here. Ladies and gentlemen, in regards to, again, incredible support and sponsorship I'm on the wrong slide. My bad. But that is an awesome slide, Cal Maritime. Thanks you, Vice Admiral. Again, with our sponsorship and support around the area, Matson Line stepped up, and to me, I felt the invigorating and the passion and the positive responses of, what are you doing here on the West Coast, and what's happening in regards to this dedication, and we would like to be a part of it. Is Andy Berger still with us? There she is. Andy, thank you for making that phone call. Relationships as it takes that we become part of the team to get things done. Andy introduced me to her staff and what was going on there, and next thing you know, we feel that we got a great relationship with Matson. And of course, when you're looking at Matson, you're also considering all the manning it takes, whether it's shoreside or on the ship side. I sailed 30 years, and on the ship side, a company like Matson, and I must say the tenacity and the vision they have for new ships being built, right? Jones Act trade, and vessels that sail around the world, and they're mostly on the Pacific, but they do sail around. So it's just an incredible another network. And let me please introduce our next guest, Rear Admiral Kevin Crick, United States Maritime Service, currently serves as Matson Senior Director, Safety, Quality, Environment, and Security. In 1991, the dual licensed graduate of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy, Crick sailed on a variety of deep-sea ships prior to becoming ashore to study at the University of Delaware's College of Marine Studies. After graduating with a Master of Marine Policy, he served as a presidential appointee to the U.S. Maritime Administration as the Senior Advisor for Maritime Policy. Moving west, he worked for the Pacific Maritime Association and APL before joining Matson. Crick, a retired U.S. Navy captain, is a board member of the Chamber of Shipping of America and the Smithsonian Environmental Research Center's Advisory Board. Locally, he serves as the president of the Marin County Scouting America and represents Matson as a member of the San Francisco Maritime National Park Association's Advisory Board. Ladies and gentlemen, please let me introduce you to Rear Admiral Kevin Crick, United States Maritime Service.
Thanks, Captain.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you, Captain. So before I hit my formal remarks, just wanted to remark on the room we're in here. It's I think it's very fitting that we're gathered here today in this particular room because I've been a member of the Walt Disney Family Museum almost from the very beginning. And a couple years back, they had an excellent exhibit in this hall on the Merchant Marine in World War II. I mean, on Disney in World War II, including the artwork that you saw up there for the Merchant Marine and many others from the World War II insignia department that was run by Hank Porter. And in fact, years back, it's probably 20 years now, I happened to stumble upon on eBay, someone that they had purchased Hank Porter's estate, and they were liquidating it, and I was able to get a couple of original sketches for the patches, including one was a medical corps, and then one was that I really enjoy was a tugboat unit. Wow. So yeah, so it's very, very fitting to be here today. So thank you all for allowing me to speak on behalf of Matson. And as you know, I'm Rear Admiral Kevin Crick, and I head up Matson's Safety, Quality, Environment, and Security Department. So as you heard, I previously served as the Senior Advisor for Maritime Policy at the Maritime Administration, and that's the equivalent of the Chief of Staff there, and that's where I received my commission in the U.S. Maritime Service. And having been a 30-year Navy veteran, I was a Strategic Sea Lift Officer, which we used to be referred to as Merchant Marine officers. So you can see the connection here across the board. While I was at the Maritime Administration, just as an aside here, the American Battle Monuments Commission happened to call our office. I get this call that comes in from the secretary, says, hey, the American Battle Monuments Commission is looking to speak to somebody about the World War II memorial. So, okay, I'll pick up the phone. And what the guy said on the video about getting many phone calls and letters from American merchant mariners 100% true. That's the first thing this guy said to me. He goes, look, we've been overwhelmed with letters and phone calls from merchant mariners, and we need to know what to do here. I said, well, you came to the right place. Maritime Administration, successor agency with the War Shipping Administration and Maritime Commission will help you out, and we did. So it was a fantastic partnership, and in fact, I was actually at the dedication, and I got to sit with Connie Stevens, of all people. So, speaking on behalf of both Matson and myself, it's a true honor to be here today for this dedication. Matson's long history of U.S. flag vessels and American merchant mariners spans 143 years and both world wars. Their contributions during World War II are numerous, commendable, and at times heroic. For me, it's a privilege to be a part of such an impressive legacy, particularly since my family history shares many of the same moments at sea. So I'm third-generation Navy. My grandfather served in World War II and was part of the second wave at Omaha Beach on D-Day. He also was sort of the impetus for me actually taking the tour of the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy for the first time. And as a little side story here, my dad comes back from a Navy duty, says, I got the place for you. He's at this academy. I'm like, I don't want to go to an academy. he says, well, let's go check it out. And he says to my grandfather, do you want to go with us to go up to see the U.S. Merchant Marine Academy? And my grandfather goes, Merchant Marine? He said, man, in World War II, those guys had all the beer. He said, I had to trade him a case of whiskey to get a case of beer. I said, okay, well, I'll go see what this academy is all about. So my father, his service, he was in Vietnam, and he was aboard the USS Pollux, which was a former freighter, the SS Mary Lakes. And that was before he moved to the staff of the Chief of Naval Operations at the Pentagon, and that's when I was born down in the Bethesda Naval Hospital. His interest in the shipping side of the Navy, though, moved him into the Military Sealift Command units as a reservist, and that's what ultimately led to my graduating from Kings Point and pursuing careers in the maritime industry and the Navy. So as you can imagine, my family has got great respect for those Americans at sea. And that is who we are here to honor today, the American merchant mariners who gave the ultimate sacrifice for their nation. Without President Roosevelt's Fourth Arm of Defense, the Allies would not have won World War II. Losses were significant, both in terms of vessels and mariners, with the latter holding the solemn distinction of the highest per capita fatalities of any branch of the service, at 1 in 26 mariners giving their lives for their country. And to underscore that significance, the Navy's rate was 1 in 114. So Matson was there at the front lines in every ocean and in numerous battles. So most people recall Matson's famous liners of the era, the Matsonia, the Lurleen, the Mariposa, and the Monterey. The Lurleen was headed back to San Francisco from Honolulu on December 7th, 1941. And by noon on December 11th, after being quickly stripped of her luxury fittings, she became a troop transport. So now, for my fellow Matson colleagues, you think about how long it takes us these days to just put a ship through the yard. We did that in 2 days. Matsonia came home, it carried home survivors from many sunk vessels, including the USS Chicago and the President Coolidge, which was also serving as a troop transport. During one voyage in 1942, the SS Mariposa evacuated 690 airmen, soldiers, and their families from the Netherlands East Indies in order to support the nucleus of a revived Dutch Air Force. And after embarking 6,747 troops in New York in 1943 and sailing for Europe, the Monterey was in a convoy of 22 ships and survived a wave of German bombers to complete her voyage. But the services of the liners wasn't all Matson contributed to the war effort. Matson was appointed General Agent for the Warshipping Administration with the responsibility of manning, provisioning, maintaining, and servicing 172 different ships, including 39 of its own. Their freighters were present at every invasion from Guadalcanal to Normandy. Of these vessels, 15 did not return. 2 ran aground, while the other 13 met their fate at the hands of German and Japanese submarines and bombers. Many took to the boats, and many were rescued, while other mariners and members of the Naval Armed Guard perished or became prisoners of war. Ultimately, 64 employees of Matson Lines lost their lives during the war. Of the Matson vessels that were lost, the SS Lahui's experience is the most notable. After being torpedoed and sinking in the Caribbean on February 22nd, 1942, the SS Lahui fought back with her deck guns and won the honor of being the first merchant vessel to send a German submarine down in World War II. So Matson's proud tradition of supporting the U.S. military and our American merchant mariners continues to this day. We are honored to have had many U.S. military veterans in our ranks, with about 60 now working for Matson today. Matson supports various veterans programs and initiatives, including those which aid in the transition from military service to civilian careers. We're a member of the National Industrial Security Program in order to move cargoes for the Department of Defense. And as a proud U.S. flag carrier, we work closely with the U.S. Transportation Command to ensure that our nation's defense supply chain is robust and effective. So, in conclusion, Matson is grateful to the American Merchant Marine veterans for the invitation to join you all here today to honor our World War II mariners, including the 4 World War II veterans, veterans we have here today: Frank Mendez, Charles Mills, the Honorable Claude Parasso, and Dave Yoho. Thank you for your service. And we also must thank your departed shipmate, Ed Big John Lawton. It has been a privilege to be part of this solemn dedication on a most appropriate National Maritime Day. Thank you all.
Thank you, Admiral. So much heartfelt. On behalf of AMMV and the great legacy that our World War II has brought to all of us, and the iconic Battle and Peat Patch, please take this as a token of appreciation to us. Thank you. Thank you, Admiral. Thank you, Andy. Thank you, Matson, very much. Thank you so much, Matson. Let's scroll through a few more slides. I know we got at least another hour or close to it. No, I know you want me out of here. So there's the gold medal and the work that went into it. And AMMV was instrumental in storming the hill, was instrumental on the medal design itself. We did have a World War II on the design committee. And that took, that's about 18 months, almost close to 2 years by the time it was signed into law. That's when COVID unleashed. We did have World War II outside the Oval Office at the time of the signing into law, the Congressional Gold Medal Act of 2020. We lost out on that opportunity. All right? That's okay. Merchant Marine just improvises and keeps going. Keep the wheel going, right? So I just wanted to show that, reflect it a little bit, and of course, it means a lot. And MARAD, who's MARAD? MARAD, in regards to some of the initiatives they're looking at on their radar, is to stay on this story, to stay on the story of the valor that was achieved then, and again, talking about education and legacy. That's exactly what we're trying to do here, right? That's exactly what we're trying to do. At this time, I'd like to look at our little bit of agenda in so much as other folks that are in the community, boots on the ground, and render volunteering and work on multiple museums in your area, and mainly the Jeremiah O'Brien, right? The Jeremiah O'Brien. What a legacy that vessel has in so much as what it's done, what it serves in the community, what it's been through, right? But the World War II that were there, that walked that gangway, right, until its present day today, it speaks highly for what your team does. And Matt Hess, I want to thank you for allowing me to communicate. So that man right there with his hands up. Nice job, Matt. I mean, he would reply to me on Sundays and Saturdays, and who the hell is this Drew guy, man? What a pain in the butt he is. So If I may, in a short order in regards to the representative from the Jeremiah O'Brien who's going to be speaking with us in a second, Mr. Phil O'Mara. And Phil, it speaks highly of you for what you're doing. A short, brief bio on Phil. I believe you did 25 years with the NYPD. Is that correct? No, 6. 6? Yeah. Oh, I got the 25. Must have been reading a year. But anyhow, this is an incredible force on board the Jeremiah O'Brien that brings a bunch of trades with his skill sets, woodworking, metalworking, you name it. Phil, take it away. Please let us know what's going on.
All right, my name is Philip O'Mara. I've been on the O'Brien for 25 years as of 4 days ago. It's been an honor to be there. When I first started there, it was mostly World War II veterans still on the ship. And so I got to learn from the right people about everything on that ship and how to operate it and keep her going and keep her restored. As the ship's carpenter, I get to restore all the furniture and everything else on the ship. I am obsessive about being accurate from color to material. And well, it's a lot of fun. I mean, 25 years, it feels like 5 years to me. I can attest to the beer thing, Admiral Kendrick. About, 22 years ago, me and the captain found about 28 World War II beer cans hidden in the overhead. Yeah, mostly Pabst Blue Ribbon. The ship's motto on our flag, our own flag, does say no brew, no crew on it. So now I'm glad to see there is some actual historical reference there. Yeah, the World War II veterans were great. Everyone that I knew that worked on the ship has now passed on. They've all crossed the bar. 2 weeks ago, we lost our last one. He was a deckhand. He was also our chairman of our board of directors for a while, Bill Fairfield. So he just passed away a few weeks ago. And so I have nobody left on the ship from World War II, so it was nice to meet a lot of you today. That being said, one of the sea stories they used to tell me was that they weren't recognized at the end of the war. So I'd like to thank the Monument Commission for doing this. I want to thank you on their behalf that have crossed the bar that couldn't be here today to do so. And yeah, thank you for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Let me tell you, the volunteering that goes on board the Jeremiah, you can only imagine, right? Russ does not sleep. It takes an incredible task to keep that vessel going, the living museum ship. Ladies and gentlemen, at this particular time, in regards to the wonderful facility here at the Walt Disney Family Museum and the wonderful support we've had, not only just getting to this day, but the lead-in in regards to what's necessary on both sides of gaining access to this and being welcome to be here. And we thought it was necessary that the World War II Memorial right down the hill and has that outflowed in regards to this position of Walt Disney Family Museum. The patch, again, getting back to the iconic patch. It means something. It's relevant, right? Though a lot of folks, sometimes you look at history and we breeze right over it. Well, at AMMV, we don't breeze right over it. We continue to hear the sea stories. It is part of the legacy, the mission that we continue to strive to do in education. So at this time, I'd like to introduce Kirsten Komorowski, and she is the executive operator here at the Walt Disney Family Museum. Could you please say a few words? Thank you for being here.
Great. Thank you. We're so honored and thrilled to have you here today. Thank you for including us in this really special event. My grandfather was a career military man, retired as a colonel. My father went to Annapolis and served on nuclear submarines under Admiral Rickover. So the military has meant a great deal to me. And as you probably know, Walt Disney was a really devoted patriot. And the military took over the studio during World War II and used the studio. And he committed to not making a profit during the war. So he did everything at cost for the military. So Diane, his daughter, who founded this museum, thought he would really like the fact that it was here. So we're really grateful to have all of you here and really appreciate everything that you do. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. Kirsten? As a small token of appreciation from the World War II merchant mariners and the incredible history that you just spoke of, there is such a thing as the Battle and Peat Patch, and we would like to render a small token from AMMV to the museum.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank
you so much.
Cheers. Cheers.
Thank you so much.
It means everything that we're here. You know, it's not every gangway you're allowed to go up. Take it from me. I can't walk up all the gangways that I try to get up, so we sneak in.
Well, I know that the Disney family will be very appreciative, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Kirsten. Thank you so much. Folks, let's get back to the deck plate. Engine room, wheelhouse, galley. At this time, I'd like to introduce MEBA's Executive Vice President here on the West Coast, Mr. Max Elpa. Where's Max? The MEBA, along with other maritime unions, and we're AMMV is totally whatever it takes to get the job done. So we reach out across the trades, we reach out across the unions, and we seek the folks that are involved. And so far, when we raise our hand, we ask the question, we get answers. And MEBA has been a big force in regards to what we've been able to achieve with sponsorships and donors. So, Max, please welcome in here. MEBA has got an interesting year this year, and Max will tell you about it real quick.
Today, I have the distinct honor of speaking about one of the most vital, yet often overlooked forces in American history, the U.S. Merchant Marine. Their story is one of quiet courage, sacrifice, and perseverance. From the earliest days of our nation to the vast battles of the Pacific during World War II, and into the modern era, the Merchant Marine has served as the lifeblood of American strength, commerce, and freedom. Let's start with a bit of history. The U.S. Merchant Marine dates back to the founding of our republic. Long before we had a standing navy, it was merchant ships that carried goods, messages, and when called upon, fought for our fledgling country. During the American Revolution, civilian mariners took up arms and disrupted British shipping, often at great personal risk. Over the centuries, these mariners played a crucial role in every major conflict, from the War of 1812 to the Civil War and beyond. But it was during World War II, particularly in the Pacific theater, that the Merchant Marine's role became truly indispensable. The Pacific Campaign was unlike anything the world had seen. A naval war fought across thousands of miles of open ocean, dotted with tiny islands that became sites of brutal combat. From Pearl Harbor to the Philippines, from Iwo Jima to Okinawa, every battle depended on one crucial factor: supply. And that's where the Merchant Marine came in. These civilian mariners operated the cargo ships, tankers, troop transports, hospital vessels that carried everything needed to sustain the Allied effort. Fuel, ammunition, food, medical equipment, construction supplies, it all arrived on merchant ships. These sailors navigated hostile waters under threat of Japanese submarines, aircraft, and kamikaze attacks. They braved typhoons, blackouts, and convoys that were sometimes more dangerous than the front lines themselves. They didn't wear uniforms, they didn't have the full protection of the armed forces, but they served just the same, with valor, with resolve, and with honor. General Douglas MacArthur, no stranger to Pacific War, once said, "I hold no branch in higher esteem than the Merchant Marine." And he meant it. The cost was high. 1 in every 26 merchant mariners died in World War II, the highest casualty rate of any U.S. service. Yet for decades, these men were denied veteran status. They returned home to no parades, no medals, and often no recognition. It was so bad that their pay was even stopped the day their vessel was sunk by torpedoes, no matter how long it took them to get home, if they even survived. That's why the American Merchant Marine Veterans Association was formed. And they have worked tirelessly to honor the contributions of merchant mariners, to preserve their legacy, and to fight for the recognition and benefits they so rightly deserve. Thanks to their efforts and those of their supporters, Congress finally granted World War II Merchant Mariners veteran status in 1988, a victory long overdue. But their work isn't done. As the number of living World War II mariners dwindles, the association remains committed to preserving their memory and educating the public on the importance of the Merchant Marine in both war and peace. Their mission reminds us that history must not only be remembered, it must be honored. Now, alongside the AMMV, I'd like to mention the oldest maritime union in the world, the Marine Engineers Beneficial Association, or the MEBA. Founded in 1875, MEBA has represented Marine engineers and deck officers for 150 years. They are the skilled professionals who keep the ships running, literally. From the boilers of Liberty ships in World War II to today's high-tech engines on modern cargo vessels, MEBA members have been there powering the nation's fleet. During World War II, MEBA members played a critical role in maintaining and operating the engines aboard thousands of merchant vessels, often while under fire. These engineers not only ensured that the ships reached their destinations, but that lives were saved and missions succeeded. MEBA has always stood for strong labor representation, maritime safety, and national readiness, principles that continue today as they train and deploy some of the most qualified maritime professionals in the world. Together, the U.S. Merchant Marine, the AMMV, MEBA, all the folks in this room, our labor partners, tell a story of unshakable dedication, a story of Americans who stepped up when the nation needed them most. Whether ferrying supplies through hostile waters or maintaining engines in the belly of the ship, these men and women made victory possible. So today, as we reflect on our history, and especially the vast battles of the Pacific, let us not forget the ones who carried the weight of war across the oceans. The ones who worked in shadows but made all the difference, the merchant mariners. To the veterans who served and to those who continued to carry the torch, we thank you, we remember you, and we will ensure your story is never forgotten. In peace and war.
Next, in a token of our appreciation from Pat Cotter's designs of our challenge coins over the year, this is indicative of National Maritime Day. Thank you very much for all you do. Appreciate it. Thank you. Here's a quick little shot for you. AMMV is now in its 6th rendering of being in the Arlington National Cemetery on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And this is the particular procession of last Veterans Day at Arlington. And with World War II mariners already queued to be in there this weekend, including Mr. Dave Yoho, who's going to do a red eye sometime today, we're going to get to the East Coast, and we have a team of mariners that are going to, well, we got SUNY Maritime. Let me back up a second. We have SUNY Maritime bringing in the flags to present at the procession that starts at 10 o'clock. And then from the National Memorial Day service rendered at Arlington in the amphitheater, we then go to a noontime laying of the wreath at the Tomb of the Unknown. So again, it's relevant in regards to today, remembering the ones that never made it home, and the Merchant Marine is amongst all other services doing what we can right here. The U.S. Secretary of Defense has rendered official invitations to our World War II to be there. So thank you very much for those guys doing what they do. Another initiative brought on by, again, who's this guy over here? Pat Cotter? So another initiative, you heard me speak of it before, we rendered a newer challenge coin indicative of the 250th anniversary, and it's significant. You know, there's many industries or many agencies in our government, we have brought it forward. We have fed them so much information. This event did occur in wartime. The Merchant Marine continues to carry the vital source supplies all over the world. And yet, you hear crickets. You hear crickets in return from the agencies that you would think would somehow maybe represent what it is that I believe it's worthy to represent. Again, legacy and education. And I believe it's indicative of what AMMV continues to strive to do. And so we do have through our website, and we do have through the memberships of AMMV that just went to our convention last month. That is the rendering of our 250th anniversary coin. So Pat Cotter, thank you very much again. Now, how about some of the real leaderships and generals from around the world that rendered in the Pacific Theater? And I'll let you read that yourself because I know you're probably tired of hearing me. But this particular resource and quote came out of and came off of the USMM.org website, whose developer is right here, Tony Horodowski. Thank you for being here, Tony. That website is absolutely utilized across the world, and Tony, well, she travels across the world often, but when you look at Douglas MacArthur's accolades that he gave the U.S. Merchant Marine back in the day, he also went into a 1943 request through Emory S. Land, FDR, and he was showing and explaining to them, we need mariners, we need boat handlers, we need people to land these beaches down at the Guadalcanal, down in New Guinea, down in the South Pacific. So what he did is the request made it all the way through to the school, U.S. Maritime Service School in Alameda, that's now been demolished, right? To the school down in St. Petersburg, Florida, that actually still stands to be the Marine Science Building for USF, University of South Florida. The point is, he himself, General MacArthur, saw the huge asset of the Merchant Marine. And when he went to these schools, they actually turned their curriculum around, not just with all kinds of journeyman trading for the nautical sciences, engineering and whatnot. They turned it around for smaller boat handling, right? So the school here in Alameda, and including the one down in St. Pete, answered the call. I know for a fact one of the World War II friends that I met down in Fort Myers, Florida, who sailed on the SS Ocala, the same ship that your father sailed on, answered the call down on LSTs. And when you look at their discharges, this is the thing about the myriad of information when you try to look at somebody in the Merchant Marine from any, back in the day of World War II, it's not an easy task to simply identify what it is they did in serving. It's not an easy task. I saw all kinds of different paperwork. But the bottom line is, you have folks like General MacArthur that put out the request. Mr. George Pasha, thank you very much, sir. We love you. So it's indicative of incredible leaderships around the world that, when you're looking at the boots that hit the ground, that took the hill, that stormed Mount Suribachi, it's just endless in regards to no matter what they did with boots on the ground and those sacrifices, the Merchant Marine had their back carrying the beans and the bullets. And they paid a very big price to get them the beans and the bullets. And these people, these generals like this, understood it. So I think that's an awesome message. So let's make sure we include, if I may, with the other speaking element of anybody. I believe AMO, is Mr. Butler here? Yeah, please, come on up. This gentleman right here represents another incredible force of American maritime officers. They're huge proponents of ours, big supporters. The President, Willie, came to our convention, and I got introduced to this fellow right here on the West Coast who handles his labor calls and the support he renders to the mariners. And you got to understand in regards to labor, the manning of the ship and the younger leaderships we see in the unions understand there's more continuity. There's more working together, right? And I believe you're going to see under the U.S. Merchant Marine umbrella, it's going to be continued efforts to make them, there's no barriers. Back when I sailed, there were many barriers. I joined 3 unions. And somebody said, you can't do that. Well, why did you take my money? You took my money. All I want to do is a job, right? But anyway, it's just a little bit of a dirty sea story that means nothing. It just means something to me. And how about you taking the mic and telling us what's going on?
Thank you so much. It's an honor to join everybody today. I want to thank the veterans, as we all do, but I also want to share with you how inspired I am with this Merchant Marine we have today, right now, and in our future. I know today I appreciate you coming up from Santa Cruz with your dad. Okay, he's joining Crowley Maritime. He's a new member of AMO, but I also want to express an appreciation to all of the Merchant Marine officers. Max, you had a nice offering there. I don't know if they're here right now with master mates and pilots. I also want to acknowledge Dwayne Akers, the port agent with Seafarers Union, the largest maritime union in the United States. Dwayne, please stand. And I think we can share the same optics that we're pretty impressed with all the operations we're seeing on all the different vessels, whether it's tankers, container ships, or with all the patient vessels we have. I just want to tell you how incredible we have things going, and it's only going to grow more. We have a lot happening in Washington, D.C., and we're grateful for the efforts to continue to work with both sides of the aisle to grow the Merchant Marine. So thank you for the support. We need to continue on that track together as one to all be ambassadors for the business, because that's where it's going to go, because of everybody in the room and all of our families and neighbors and friends and everybody we work with. We all have to lean in. So please continue to put your best foot forward at all times. Make that extra effort, because that's what it's going to take to get the job done.
There you go. Hear, hear. I love that. Lean in. Lean in. Might be a little headwind, but lean in. I'm glad you brought up the SIU. Mr. Roy Akers, would you care to say a few words? Sorry to put you on the spot. I sailed in the SIU when I first got out of Maine Maritime Academy, and they took care of me very well. Mr. Roy Akers, thank you.
Good afternoon. I really appreciate the invitation. Captain, it's an honor to be here. Really an honor to meet my fellow veterans from the maritime industry. Big supporter of the Merchant Marine, even when I was in the service, watching their vessels come by, both the Military Sealift Command and the commercial vessels that supported us during Desert Storm. Without the maritime industry, at least for my time, we could not have pulled off what we did. So thank you very much for all of the merchant mariners. Whether you're an officer or an unlicensed, it's a crew. There's no difference between the officers and the unlicensed, right? The ship doesn't go anywhere unless all 24 to 50 people on board work as a team to get that vessel from point A to point B, okay? Cal Maritime graduates, Connor, it was a pleasure to meet you earlier this year, and now I get to meet you as a graduate, as a newly commissioned officer in the Navy, all right? You guys are the bright future of our industry. Okay, our graduates from our apprenticeship school, the same thing. They're the future, okay? And we have to be here to support them when it's all said and done. The maritime industry will expand with the new SHIP Act. I think it's going to be strategically important. It's going to put control of the maritime industry back in our hands and not those of other interests outside of the country. And again, we will need all of our support to make sure that grows, and that we have the mariners to man those vessels and keep America strong, okay? So the flag will continue to fly, both in the United States and overseas, and that's highly important. When I was working overseas and I'd see that U.S. flag come flying on by, you know what? Your heart swells, okay? And there's no prouder moment that you've been over there for 5, 6, 7 straight months, and all of a sudden there's the red, white, and blue. Okay, and most times it was on a commercial vessel that was flying that flag as it was coming into port. So, to my fellow Merchant Mariner veterans, to fellow officers, to the Academy graduates, and to you all, thank you very much for this invitation today.
The fabric of our industry carries on. Get the flag up. Ladies and gentlemen, at this time, as we wind down, I'd like to have it come home a little bit with one of our spokesperson. And again, AMMV is incredibly gracious for the fact that he signed on back in like 2017. Mr. Dave Yoho, World War II. Please give a round of applause for our spokesperson, Mr. Dave Yoho.
All right, so we come to the end of the day. Someone once said, if you took all the after-dinner speakers in the world and laid them end to end, wouldn't it be a wonderful idea? Now, the reason I tell you this, you have really been taken into our web. We've sucked you in. And how did we suck you in? Not because of us, but because of you. You had the patience to hear our story. Now, as part of my later education, I took extended courses in human behavior. So I'm aware of what behavior means. But you see, the real stars here are all of you people sitting here. You have some connection to us. Sometimes it's remote, sometimes it's a relative, sometimes it's a cause that you feel important. So I'm going to ask you to think about two things. And as a precursor to those two things, I want to tell you what you really have. You see, tonight when you go to bed, you're going to crawl into a bed that is comfortable or uncomfortable by virtue of the mattress, the lighting, the air conditioning. And when you wake up in the morning, you will assess your evening sleep by how well you slept and the fact that you can go in and take a shower, a bath, and go do whatever toiletries you're having. The ladies put on your makeup and the guys look in their mirror sideways and suck in their gut. But all these things are privilege. They are given to you as privilege. What we have lost in our society, I don't speak to you as a friend. I don't speak to you as an ego. I speak to you as someone who observes human nature. The patriotism that existed, that preceded the people who volunteered in World War II. Remember, we put 16,200 people in uniform, 12.5% of our population. And the women stepped up and went in to each of the ranks. They drove the trucks. They worked in the factories. They did everything that our workforce couldn't do. And only 7% of the women could drive in those days. And now, in later life, we have a tendency to forget that. There was a group called the WASPs. I don't know if you've ever heard of them. 1,000 women recruited to fly the airplane. When that airplane was completed in Detroit, they had to fly it to a place to be armed. And when they flew it to that place, they didn't have enough men for the job, so they took 1,000 women, they recruited them. Now, women cannot go into combat in World War II. No woman was entitled to go into combat. They lost 39 people, and they never went into combat because the aircraft were faulty at times, and that's what caused the problem. And how easy it is to forget that. So when we came out of World War II, we, the people you see here, we didn't get the accolades you got. You played our song today because somebody told you if you wanted us here, you got to play that song. Heave-ho is not in anyone's great retinue. But we suck you in, and they get sucked in, and I'm going to be the Grand Marshal of the World War II parade, which takes place on Monday. I'll be the Grand Marshal for the 4th time. I go in the entrance car and an open card, and I demand a flag. And they want somebody my age to be sure that I sit down, take care of myself. And I stand up. And I did it in France, and it blew people out of the water, but we made the headlines. That's my job. And I suck you in. Now, what did I say about going to sleep tonight? Because you're waking up in a free country. And it's not only because of me, it's because of you. You believe it's important to be here. So I'm going to ask you to do two things then as an aftermath. Now, the first I'm going to ask you to do, you saw the gold medal up here. You have no idea what it meant to us to receive the gold medal. You have no idea what it was like on that day, which took 7 or 8 years to be. You have no idea whatsoever as to how great it was because you honored us. But it's you honoring us. Now, here's what I'd like you to do. You all have cell phones. If you don't know how to use them, go to one of your grandchildren. They'll show you how to use them. And I'd like you to do two things. pretty easy to do. First of all, Google my name, Dave Yoho, D-A-V-E-Y-O-H-O. Don't stay there because I have over 80,000 entries in my name, mostly for my businesses and what I do. But if you put under that Dave Yoho, Congressional Gold Medal, you will see something fascinating. This man worked wholeheartedly just before COVID. He called me and said, the president's going to sign, and I was in Florida, I think, at the time. He called me and said, the president is going to sign a bill for the Merchant Marines. Can you be there in Washington? I said, I'll change my flight. So I changed my flight. I was supposed to go from Orlando, where I was, and make a speech in Florida. And the way I could do it, I got one of my assistants to do the speech, and I flew back. And when we got there, COVID had exploded, and that was called off. And it took 2 years later for us to get in there. And then 9 of us went. And 9 of us went, you have no idea what it was to us that we were remembered. But an interesting happened. There were 13 people who needed to speak. They were senators, they were congressmen, they were admirals, they were generals. There was a clerk there too. They had one of them. And they all spoke. So Drew said to the woman who was assistant to Nancy Pelosi at the time, well, we have a guy who works with us, and he would like to make the acceptance of the award. She says, there's no time. No time on the front. And he said, would you at least talk to him? Would you at least talk to him? I think you'll find it fascinating. So she called. And she told me what she had to do and asked me why I wanted to. I said, I don't want to do anything except say thank you. I come from a world where we didn't have any money and we didn't have any real insights of education, but my parents taught me that when somebody does something for you as promptly as possible, you say thank you. And I said that to her. We have to say thank you. She said, all right, I'll get back to you. She got back to me and said, okay, we'll squeeze you in at the end. Little did they know. I want you to Google that because I want you to circulate that because it's not about me. And incidentally, what we're told, I did a speech at the World War II Memorial the year before that, and there was a woman producer at Fox who, when I got up to speak, said, stream him. And we got 1,250,000 viewers from all over the world. And we got that. Because here's why we suck them in. We don't talk about me. We talk about them, meaning the other people. Woman said to me, never saw anybody get a standing ovation. Miss Pelosi said to me, marvelous, you got two standing ovations. No, I said, I got one. The other one I got when I said Charles' name. I said, and in the audience is a man that you'll want to meet, and he's my buddy, Charles, and I no sooner got finished saying his name that its caregiver, who Miss Modesty, he wouldn't tell you this story, she gets up and gives a fun, right up in the front, she gives a fist pump, and everybody stood up and got a wonderful, wonderful salutation to my buddy Charles. So what I'm telling you there is about people. So why do I want you to watch that? I want you to watch, we do 9.5 minutes. I do it without notes because it ain't about me. It ain't about you. It's about the way you feel. And if you can feel what we feel, if you can touch what you believe touches you from what you hear of us, you got to tell somebody else. And the way to do it, if you look at that, give it to someone else. Now it's on right now. It was 572. It's now in almost 590 websites. What do you call it? Beg pardon? Web page. Well, no. You know, when somebody has like Nancy Pelosi has it on her website. So we get it from all different angles. But remember, You will hear me talk about women. You will hear me talk about what made this a great nation, because this is the thing our nation has lost. Saluting my flag, privilege. Standing up, speaking, privilege. Praying to my God in my voice and my tone, privilege. Teaching my children values, privilege. Appreciating the values of others who are of other cultures and of other. You don't have to agree with everything they say, but in appreciation of what we have and what we do. So that's the first thing I'm going to ask you to do. Listen to that. Pass it on. The second thing I'm going to say, and I as you notice, I work without notes. I've written this down, though. I want you to remember 4 people. I'm going to ask them now, as I name them, just to raise their hands. I'm not going to ask them to speak. Charles Mills. Frank Mendez. Claude Carrasso. They're not my neighbors. They're not my drinking buddies. I admire them. So why do I want you to have that? I want you to pass that on to other people because of what I'm about to say now. Charles, Frank, Claude, I'm donating $1,000 in each of your name to the American Merchant Marine Veterans. And I'm going to include, Ed Lawton. So I'm going to donate $1,000 to them. Now, there's no great privilege. I'm very, very oriented in charity. But I'm not doing this to charity. I'm doing it in respect for the men that we have pointed out here, the men who have given up their childhood for somebody else's future. And then, as you will see, it multiplies. I belong to a group, I think you might have heard about them. They're faith-oriented people. I'm one of them. I was converted later in my life, but I'm faith-oriented. And I take a great example. 12 guys got together and said, we're going to promote it. Don't sneeze while I'm talking, please. It's very upsetting. And I say 12 people got together and created what we call faith organizations. I believe in you. I believe when you hear this, I want other people to know about their sacrifices and what they mean. Now I'm going to end the same way I end most of my presentations about you. I consider it a great, great privilege to be with you. And when you are with others, I would like you to talk about us. Tell them of us. Tell them what we did with 250,000 of us, that now there are less than 1,000 left. The oldest guy is 107.
Reynolds Tom from Pigeon Falls, Wisconsin.
And he's how old?
108.
Unbelievable. He can't walk and everything, but he does everything else, and a hell of a guy, a hell of a sense of humor, right? I don't know that he has a girlfriend anymore, but he does almost everything else. And I think about that. And Charles, what is he now? I just think 104 years old. I want you to think back. Do you ever remember ever hearing in your own family circle of friends anybody over 100 years of age? We have 4 guys in this room, all approaching it. One guy is 99. How are you old now?
95, going on 96.
96. You're a baby.
Baby.
Yeah.
How are you?
Huh?
How are you?
Miss, don't get rough with me. I have Polaroid pictures of you when you were 17, and but I end up in this. It has been my privilege to be with you. As he said, I have to catch a red eye tonight because I have to be back tomorrow, Friday. I have to do something. I have one. I know I'm still involved in the business and make speeches for my company, but this It's been a big part of my life, and I bow and say thank you to you for making my day here, my time with you all, a great privilege.
Thank you, Dave. Hear, hear. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes our incredible dedication reception time. If I could reflect on a couple of things in regards to, again, the fabric of San Francisco and the hard work that goes into the museum ships, we do have the chief engineer from the Red Oak. Chief, is it Greg? Greg, raise your hand, everybody. We have the chief engineer, and he also volunteers on the Lane Victory as well, so he's got his hands full. But it speaks highly, whether it's the labor, whether it's the operators, whether it's our families and friends, and just coming together and speaking of what means most in regards to the legacy of the Merchant Marine. So hear, hear, heave ho, safe travels home.